Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Magali, I'm an Oracle Apex developer, and today in this tutorial I'll show you how to display an image preview when uploading it. At the moment, Apex does not come with the capability of showing a preview when uploading an image. However, sometimes we want to provide that option to our users to make sure that what they're uploading and selecting is what they really want to send to the database. To achieve this, we're going to talk a little bit about HTML and JavaScript. So without further ado, let's get started. Let's go ahead and take a look at our base application. I am using the sample dataset from Oracle named countries. I have just made some modifications to the dataset. However, I'm leaving in the description the link to download the application, and also if you want to see the complete version, you can do that as well. So this is our application. We have a cards region with different countries. Now, once we click on each of them and see the country details, we have the option to upload an image. For example, Anguilla, we upload an image and immediately we can see a display. That's what this tutorial will be about. To start with the application, let's click on any country, go to the modal dialog and edit that page. And the first step will be to create a container where we're going to be displaying our image. So for that, let's create a page item and name it display image. For the type, we're going to select display image. And on settings, we're just going to make sure that we are basing it on below column specifying item source. Under source, we're going to select on the form which it belongs to. For the column, we're going to select flag image. This is the part where I modify the dataset. So if you're following along, please download the base application so you have all the columns available. Also, we're going to make sure that the query only is active in this case. So save it. And if we go back and we reload, we'll see that our container is right over there. However, since we haven't added any functionality to it, even if we select an image, it won't display. If we apply changes, we can see our flag is being displayed. Before we dive into the steps to create an instant image preview, I would like us to take a look at the HTML. So we're going to click on the image, do right click and do inspect. Now in here in the elements, you can see there's an image tag element inside a div with a class tform item wrapper. However, if we take a look at one of the cards that do not have an image yet and inspect that as well, we'll see that we have our div with the tform item wrapper class. However, the image tag element that we saw before is not created yet. This image tag that is missing here is generated when we have an actual image in that item. Since we do not have that image yet, it hasn't been created. There are different ways to show a preview. You could use an inline dialog, a static region, etc. However, in this tutorial, I would like the UI to look the same as when the image is being fetched from the database. Like in this case, if my image coming from the database looks this way, I want the instant preview to look the same. Now that we have discussed how the HTML works, we can get started. So let's click on our dialog and edit that page. And we're gonna go to this JavaScript section of the page under function and global variable declaration, and we're gonna create our function show preview. Function show preview. Now this function will receive two parameters: file, which will be the image to be uploaded, and an item name, which will make a reference to the item where we will display our preview. Then we need to create a variable that will be our source object. So we create a let source and URL create object URL. It's a static method which will create a string containing the URL of the image that is being uploaded. We also need another variable to which we'll assign our DOM element that we discussed previously in the HTML, which is the image container. To do that, we're going to create a new variable, image container, and we're going to assign the item name. We're going to append to that the word container and add the class which it belongs to. In case the image tag has already been created and we do not need to assign the DOM element, like in the case that it's being fetched from the database already, then we will use the method empty, which in simple words will remove any text within the element. So we're going to do image container dot empty. Lastly, we will create our image container by appending to the image container we created here the tag image and our own CSS class for some extra customization. So for that, we're gonna do image container, append, and then the HTML, where we are giving the source, which will be the string that was created by the createObjectURL method, and the class that we're about to create. Now that will be the code for this section. So click OK, save. And now that we have our function ready, the next step is to create a dynamic action in our file browse item on the flag image. Now let's create that dynamic action. And we're gonna call it show instant preview. For the when, we're gonna do the event change. The selection tag will be the flag image, the file browse. For the true action, we're gonna execute some JavaScript code where we will create a new variable first, which we'll call it files. And this browser event target files. Now this will obtain the files that we are uploading, and we're gonna say if the file's length, the file that I'm getting, the length is greater than 0, I want to show my preview. If it's not greater than 0, if we do not have anything there, I don't want anything to happen. So we're gonna call our function show preview, give the parameters that we specify, which will be files, and the name of our item, which is page 2, P2 display image. This browser event makes reference to the event object of the event that triggered the event. So in this case, that will be onload. That's the browser event we are using. So with this code, we are creating a file variable that will be making a reference to the image that was uploaded. And we're adding that condition that if we indeed are adding an image, we are calling our show preview function. We are passing it our file and where we want it to be displayed, which is our item. Now that we click OK, affected elements will be our item, which is a display image. Right, so save. All right, so now we're just missing our CSS. So we're gonna go to the page under CSS inline. We're gonna add the CC custom class image preview that we are calling in our function, and we're gonna set the width to be 400 pixels for the image. Click OK. And also on the container display image under advanced on the CSS class, we're gonna add the name of our class to be CC image preview. Also, we need to change our template from optional floating to optional above, as I want the label to display on top of the image. Right, so save and let's test out. So we go to the first one, Angular, and as you can see, this is the way it displays with 400 pixels. If I go to a different one, United States, for example, choose a file, choose our flag, then we can see immediately our preview. The same way it is displayed if it's being fetched from the database. Apply changes, and right over there. Let's try one more. Peru, the flag, and again, the same behavior. As I mentioned before, you can use different ways to show a preview. You can even use a region instead of an item. Or if you do not want to modify the Apex HTML structure, you can take this alternative option. It's just a couple of changes, so let's add a region right here, and let's call it display image 2, display image. Let's select the template blank with attributes. And on our JavaScript in the page, I'm gonna leave that one as well, so you can see that it works the same way. The changes we'll do for this is that we're also using the file. In this case, instead of calling it item name to the second parameter, I'll call it element ID to make a reference to this region. The variables remain the same, the source, and the only tweak we need to do now is on the image container variable. Instead of using item name and adding a container word at the end and specifying to which div element it belongs, we just need to add the element ID we're using. And then on the append, everything remains the same. So we can go ahead and save. Now for the display image, let's add on the advanced a static ID for this. So we can call it image region. All right, and then some changes to the dynamic action as well, where we're gonna call the new function. Just a little tweak too, that let's rename this one to show preview item instead. And again on the code, show preview items. And show preview region for the new one we just created. The files, then in the URL, and the name of a static ID, which was image region. Semicolon at the end. Okay, and save. So now let's test out our changes. We can try Venezuela. So we're gonna choose file, the Venezuela flag, and you can see it displays the same. The first one is using the item, the show preview item that we created, and the second one is using the function show preview region, where you didn't need to modify the Apex HTML structure. So that's our tutorial for today. We took a little look at Apex HTML structure, how to dynamically create a container, and some JavaScript code to instantly display an image. Please remember that this approach depends on the Apex HTML structure. So if any updates were to happen to it, you might need to take a different approach. Hope this tutorial is helpful for anyone looking into how to show an instant preview of an image when uploading it. And also I have received a couple messages about different topics you would like to learn about, so keep an eye out for my next tutorial coming soon. Thank you all. See you soon. Bye bye.